just coming out of the whole foster situation. Now he's living with his sister Ella. So yeah, that's where we started off at, kind of just getting his journey into the streets.
Yeah, but before we go up, I'm saying about Ella, rahimahullah, may God have mercy on her soul. I just want to revert back to the mental health thing, because I didn't mention one of the medicines from the Quran, from the verses of the Quran about how to deal with mental health and depression and so forth and so on. Especially for the Muslim, and even for the non-Muslim. There's a verse in the Quran that says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. And chapter, it's a chapter called Ar-Rad, verse 28. But the verse is this, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الذين آمنوا وتطمئن قلوبهم بذكر الله ألا بذكر الله تطمئن القلوب. It says, those who have iman, those who have faith, and whose hearts find peace in the remembrance of God, in the remembrance of Allah. Only in the remembrance of Allah can the heart find peace. Right? So it says, so this verse is very profound, because it's saying only in the remembrance of Allah can hearts find peace.
Definitely.
So, a lot of times, even for a non-Muslim and a Muslim, at the end of the day, we find peace by embarking on a sincere journey to find out who God is. Embarking on a sincere journey to draw near to God. Embarking on a sincere journey and sincere effort to establish a real relationship with God. And the more we work hard to the best of our ability, by begging God for assistance and guidance, to worship Him the way He deserves to be worshipped. And the more we strive to establish a relationship with God, the better, peaceful, tranquil life that we will attain. It's just plain and simple. It's nothing. It's not rocket science.
It really is.
Whenever we become heedless of God, we don't have God in our life. We don't make any effort to draw near to God. We are not God conscious for the course of the day. Then we ask Him to live a life of rancor, a life of depression, a life of problems, inwardly and outwardly.
Definitely.
As simple as that. So, as simple as that. And then we look at Malcolm's life. We see, even from a child, his household was always making an effort to establish a relationship with God. Always. His whole family, that's his family's, that's part of his family's history.
His foundation.
That his foundation, his parents, his siblings, whether it was right or wrong, that's between them and God. But they was always making an effort to establish a relationship with God. No, we can't say always, because we know Malcolm fell to a life of crime, but we don't know what he was saying, in his mind subconsciously. That being said, though, my point is his foundation, when it was children, before their house got burned down and his father was martyred and his mom went to the mental hospital, they had a foundation. They had a good, strong family unit, and they had God in their life to the best of their ability. That's a fact.
Definitely. That is a definite fact. And like you said, at that time, right? Because I think about this often, like at that time in America, I mean, if there was Muslims in America, they certainly wasn't African American, right? So when we have like, and if there was, it was probably very in a few. We're talking like a few hundred people that's probably, on record, that were Muslim at that time. And we're talking the 40s, anytime before the 60s, right? So it's like, for anybody who actually believed in God and strived for God in a sense. Maybe it wasn't the correct religion in our religion as we have the correct path is Islam. But if Islam wasn't known to them, if it wasn't ever given to them, the best that they can do in their ability is, like you said, strive to God in the best way that they know how, and just try to be
Yeah.
God-fearing people,
Yeah.
and do as much righteous good deeds as they can. Because even
Yeah.
the Bible, even if they were Christian, the Bible tells you to do good deeds, not bad ones. Even if they were Jewish,
Exactly.
the Torah tells you to do good deeds, not bad ones. So if they was never
Right.
given the revelation of Islam, of the Quran, then maybe them doing the good righteous deeds in their other religions could suffice. Now that's just my personal opinion, but
Yeah.
may Allah knows best.
Yeah, God knows best because, I say again, because God will, people who don't know the truth.
Right.
There's some teachings about that in Islam. People can only be judged according to what they know.
That's right.
Like, God will take a people to task if a messenger has not been sent to them.
Mm-hmm.
There's a verse that says something more or less like that. So if a people have not really learned or heard about who God really is, or never heard about who the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, really is,
Mm-hmm.
then can they be held accountable for not believing in it?
Right.
Many, so, but ultimately at the end of the day, we know God is most merciful. He is the most just.
Mm.
And, all of our situation is with God when the day of judgment. None of us can judge who was who, so, may God guide us all.
Definitely.
That being said, though, we thank God much for guiding us to the truth.
That's a fact.
Of the matter.
That's a fact.
So for putting us on the truth that, there's only one God.
Mm.
We believe in all the angels.
Mm-hmm.
We believe in all of God's books.
Mm-hmm.
In their pristine form, in their pure form, in their unadulterated form.
Mm-hmm.
Before any of them were innovated. We know the Quran was innovated, but other books were adulterated, tampered with. But we believe in those revealed books by God as they were sent from God, without tampering. And we believe in all the prophets. We make no distinction between any of the prophets. From Adam all the way down to the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of God be upon them all.
Mm-hmm.
We believe that there are over 124,000 prophets. Or 124,000 prophets. And we believe in the last day. The day of judgment. And we believe in the divine preordainment, the divine decree of God, the good of it and the bad of it, that all good and bad is decreed by God. And we also believe in life after death. And all that entails. You know what I'm saying? So, this is the true belief. And this is the belief that is unanimous amongst all the prophets. And all the friends of God, male and female. So, we thank God for guiding us to this way of life. And we ask God to guide all those to this way of life, because this was the way of life that Malcolm El Shabazz was guided to.
Definitely.
And this is what he died on.
Definitely.
But let's fast forward it back to when he was 15 years old. And when he went to his sister's house, because I was reading too, not only did he get sent to many foster homes, but he was into the foster homes, orphanages, as well as they even sent him to a boarding school. Yeah. So, but but we couldn't imagine how traumatized he was through all this, right? You come from a well-to-do family, from a family that are educated, God-conscious activists, to being an orphan. That's a heck of an adjustment.
Culture shock.
Right? Culture shock, for real. Like, you couldn't imagine. Right? So at 15, he goes to Ella, his big sister. And she takes him in, and she's a very strong woman. But he was always traumatized, you know what I'm saying? So, it takes a man to make a man.
That's right.
At the end of the day.
That's right.
So she could do all that she could do, and may God reward her for all that she did for Malcolm. For sure. Even saying from when he was young,
You have 60 seconds remaining.
But with that being said, You know, he took on a life of crime. You know, when he was 15 years old, when he lived with her, he started, you know, first he started off shining shoes near where the gangsters would, you know, I guess be at their lounges and clubs. He started off shining shoes when he was young, and then from there he took them on their ways. You know, running numbers, gambling, card games, stealing, rock. You have 30 seconds remaining. Pimping, you know, selling drugs, using drugs. You know, he pretty much did it all as far as crime.
Right, and he was in the underworld, if you will. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. He pretty much indulged in every vice that a criminal would indulge in, right?
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? To make a long story short, you know, I mean, we're not here to applaud it, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, this is part of his history.
It's part of his journey.
So what I was saying was, I said, his life of crime, and we're not condoning any wrong, but the hidden wisdom in it, even though it was wrong, it was preparing him to learn about that life and learn about the psychology of those who are indulged in, of those who are immersed in that life, those who are immersed in that life, those who are immersed in that life, so he come back and teach them, you know, because he came back and converted thousands, tens of thousands of criminals to the right way.
That's right.
So he had to say, you know, he said to know a people, you have to be amongst them to know a people.
That's right.
This why he has so much, because he has so much in common with them. That when he got out of prison, you know, let's fast forward, you know, we fast forwarding it, we getting ahead of ourselves. But this life of crime that he took, the hidden wisdom it was preparing him to where when he would come back decades later or a decade later, to Clark State, he said when he came back, he converted many criminals all over the country. Many drug dealers, many addicts, many pimps, many prostitutes, many stick-up boys, many bank boys, many kingpins, many of them, thousands, scores of them, have left that all together and came under the umbrella of Malcolm.
That's a fact.
They reformed themselves completely. You know, but let's go back. Not only that though, so now he was, you know, so he was 15, so you know he would get locked up, get out, you know, get little petty miscellaneous charges at first. You know, in a juvie joint, I guess, and getting out and, you know, coming home and getting out and all that. And somehow in between them, when he got a little older, I can't remember the time, he got a little older. You know, he's working a train too.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, he was, you know, so he worked with a train when he got older. You know, maybe I'm thinking if I'm guessing maybe late teens, early 20s, maybe before he got locked up. He worked with a train, right? And the train, you know, I forgot what it traveled. I don't know whether it was from Boston to New York or from New York to Boston. I don't know the areas, but my man was telling me, my people told me that there was another red too that worked with him.
That red was Red Fox. Red Fox.
Red Fox. Exactly.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
I'm saying, he said before that this was before Red Fox had became a famous comedian. But he said even if it was on a train, you know, Red was funny. He always was naturally funny. Red Fox. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Red Fox. You know, Red Fox talked about that. He talked about his experiences, you know, with Malcolm at that time. You know, and you know how they both was named Red, you know, due to Malcolm having the red you know, color in his hair, or highlights, if you will, in the hair, and you know, him being a light-skinned brother, high yellow brother, as they used to say back then. You know, so that's what they shared in common. Also, I would like to chime in as well, as far as what you said. You know, his criminal life prepared him for his righteous life, right? Because when you really look at it, like, okay, not only, you know, to help somebody, to help especially a criminal, you know what I'm saying, somebody who's really deep in the underworld, they're not really going to listen to you if you really wasn't a former criminal, or if you really don't know about that life, right? Like, it's hard for a police officer who was, you know, a Boy Scout, you know, went to private school. He can't come to the hood and try to teach the kids in the hood how to be right, you know what I'm saying, how to do righteous things, you know, they're not really going to take from him. But if you get a former OG who was in jail. Maybe he did about 20, 25 years. He come home, changing his life. They more inclined to listen to him because they see themselves in him, right? So that's the same thing there. And also, he's famed for his pimping, unfortunately, right? But he's famed for his pimping, right? As we know, he was a very handsome brother. And what I used to think, as I used to say, pimping is all about convincing a woman, right, to do something that it's unspeakable. Like I heard there's another pimp. His name is Sugar Free, right? This he's a guy from Pomona, California. He's a rapper, but he was a pimp before he became a rapper. And Sugar Free, he said, pimping is like no other. He said it's something that even the baddest of women, the ones that's out there, doing scandalous acts, even they look at pimping like, oh, it's too much for me. I would never do that. It's like he said it's not just bad, it's more than bad. That's what pimping is. It's not just bad, it's more than bad. You're convincing a woman to sell her body and then give you all of the profit. That's what pimping is. I don't think people really understand this. So to have that control and power over a human being, you have to be one hell of a talker. You got to be one hell of a conveyor, and you got to be able to persuade people and massage people with your words, and not with your actions as far as having any sexual acts with them. So his ability to convey, his ability to persuade, he used those same attributes in a more positive light when it came to being righteous. He was able to persuade and convey people to do righteous things. So I always kind of draw that comparison. The pimp of Malcolm helped him to be the preacher, if you will.
Right. I mean, and then you said, we could close that out or cap that off with the acronym pimp. And I got, for lack of better expressions, the good pimp, the bad pimp versus the good pimp. He was a bad pimp, he became a good pimp. And the acronym means the bad pimp is power in manipulating people. And then he became the good pimp in power in motivating people towards what is right.
I like that.
So he came from being a manipulator to a master motivator.
That's right.
So, what you're saying is true, even though it sounds, like an oxymoron. It sounds like, it sounds crazy.
It sounds crazy, right? But it's true. That's his journey.
People, you're right. Exactly. That's his journey. You know what I'm saying? So, the journey, but I'll say again, as we see clearly how it benefited him when he became when he started opening up many temples and he was calling people to reform themselves, he was very effective, like you said. But then, eventually he wound up touching that big case.
That's right.
He eventually wound up touching that big case. It was a home invasion, right? In a B&E?
Yeah.
No,
That's what they show in the movie.
And they he robbed the people of their belongings. And then, but they said he really got his time because he was involved with a white woman.
That's right.
The judge didn't like that. They over-sentenced him. They gave him too much time. They went outside the guidelines on the sentence because he was having sex with a white woman.
They threw the book at him.
Doing it, they threw the book at him. But so when he went to prison, this was his university. But when he first went to prison, you know what his nickname was?
What was his nickname?
Satan.
Oh wow, are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. I actually read that.
Hold up.
In prison, when he first came to prison, he was so jacked up and so misguided from the streets, and so hungover from that life of crime, still addicted to drugs, still codependent, still dependent on drugs, and still wanting to be sedated at all times by any means, that they would call him Satan. He was not God conscious, you know what I'm saying? Basically, he forgot who God was, at that time, Right. And then, of course, he's pissed off about doing all this time in prison, So he was jacked up, man.
Damn.
Yeah, he getting some enlightened brothers there who were educated, who were focused, who weren't distracted by TV, music, and in the different distractions of prison.
Mm-hmm.
They were actually treating prison as universities. He was inspired by them. Eventually they won him over, but it wasn't easy. It wasn't like he, came over overnight. But eventually they won him over, as well as his siblings. All his siblings had already became down with the Nation of Islam already on the street. They already became, down with the nation. So they would all come visit him and write him letters and try to get him to, leave that way of thinking, that self-destructive way of thinking, and come to the Nation of Islam. So he had, people calling him to it inside and outside.
The influence.
So yeah, but in the beginning his name was Satan.
That's crazy.
And then what happened was his siblings, they convinced him. I think his brother Reginald had convinced him to stop using that name. Don't accept that name. Change your name. You gotta, because names mean something.
That's right.
People keep calling you something. You start to live out what people call you, right?
You start to believe in it.
You dumb and stupid. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
So he wound up changing his name. I forgot. Matter of fact, I forgot his name. Oh yeah, I think it was Malachi at first. I think about said before he took on the name Malcolmx, he was going by the name of Malachi after Satan. After the name Satan, he took on the name Malachi. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. And then, they put him about the X, take off the little, that slave name,
That's right. That's right.
And speaking of slave names, what's weird to me? And maybe you can help me out.
Yeah, sure.
You would have a person named Malcolm Little. Or our maiden name's Cherry. Grandma Musima's name is Cherry.
That's right.
Or McDaniel. Or Papa, last name's McDaniel.
Right.
And then you have many, because I've seen I've seen people here named last name Cherry. Right? I've seen people here last name Cherry, but they're not my family. There's people in the street last name Cherry. They're not my family. I've seen people named McDaniel. They're not my family. And then not only you see other black people with your same slave name, you see other white people with your same slave name. So it's almost like, to me, it's like, correct me if I'm wrong, did we all come from the same plantation somehow? Does it all, trace back to the same plantation? Does it all trace back to the same slave owners?
You know what?
What you think about that?
That's a great, I'm not gonna lie, Pop. That's a great question. That is a great question. And I'm not so sure. I'm gonna do some research on that. I'm not so sure, but I think you might be onto something, because that does make sense, right? Like, we know the last name traces you back to your lineage, right? So, like you said, if your last name is McDaniel and you see a white person with the last name McDaniel, if y'all both all the way trace back, does your great grandfather, was he a slave of the white person's McDaniel's, owner, slave foundation, or plantation? Now, here's the problem with that. Not every single white person was a slave owner, right? So in order to be a slave owner, you have to have a certain level of money, right? So maybe the white McDaniels all originate back. They might originate back to a slave, or just a worker or a farmer, but not an actual.
Or they just could have just been immigrants from Ireland somewhere.
Exactly.
Let's say, and they just have the same name.
Exactly. Exactly.
Been, you know what I'm saying? So, what you said is true. It's not necessarily true that every white family, their ancestors were slave owners.
Right.
Like you said. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody wasn't rich. So that's a good point, too. They could have just been immigrants from some European country, and just have the same name.
Yeah, especially if it's Irish and Italian. Like, we know that a lot of black people, we might not share, a last name of an Italian person. Like, maybe the last name is Giancotti or Molino. You
Yeah.
might not see a black person with that
Yeah.
last name, but you will see a black person with an Irish last name, like a
Yeah.
McDuffie or a
Yeah.
McDermott or something like that, or a McMinikin or
Yeah.
something. It's like, oh, that sounds like it's an Irish name, and we know the Irish people, they came over
Over
on a
6
ship
seconds
as well.
remaining.
So
Yeah.
I don't think it's for sure a trace, but that is a great question. I'm gonna do some research on that. See what I can find.
It's something to look into.
I
It's something
will.
to look into.
I will.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna see if I call you back. Let me see.
All
All
right.
right.
All right. Walaikum assalam.
What? So yeah, so he was in prison,
Mm-hmm.
and he eventually got won over by those enlightened brothers there. He studied a plethora of subjects.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the movie just got him studying the dictionary, and even the dictionary itself is I'm saying how you say it's underrated. I'm saying how you say it's underrated. What do I
Definitely.
mean by that? People think when you study the dictionary that he was just studying just definitions of words,
Right.
and then he just memorized the one word with the definition. No, no, no. A dictionary, when you study the dictionary, a dictionary is really studying grammar.
Mm.
And there's three main parts to grammar. You have grammar, the grammatical rules, and then you have verbs or conjugations.
Mm.
The science of conjugating words, the science of conjugating verbs, and so forth and so on. And then you have rhetoric.
Mm.
How to use the word in certain contexts.
Mm.
Those are three main parts of grammar, especially Arabic grammar. Those are the three main parts.
Mm.
In any language, those three main categories play a major role in learning language.
Mm.
Right? Grammar, conjugations, how does the word morph into other words, and then rhetoric. How do you use the words in different contexts, different metaphors or figurative language, and similes and so forth and so on.
Mm.
Or even slang, that is too. So the dictionary has all these things.
That's right.
So then the dictionary has the etymology of the word. It's going to give you the genesis, the origin of the word, whether it comes from a Latin word or a Greek word, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's going to go into what the suffixes mean, the suffixes or the prefixes.
Mm-hmm.
What is the meanings of those things? And then it goes into the multiple. Oh yeah. Then it goes into how to pronounce the word too, which is important.
Mm.
The phonetics of the word.
That's right.
The different syllables, how to properly pronounce the word, how to enunciate the word correctly, and then it goes into the different definitions of the word.
Mm.
Then it goes into some examples. It might give a few sentences of at least one sentence how to use the word in a proper sentence.
Right.
Right? In its proper context. And then it goes into different conjugations of the word. So now you can say, like you have the word sincere, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's sincere? I said, what part of grammar would sincere be?
What part of grammar would sincere be? I'm not sure how to answer that question. Oh.
Is it a noun, a verb, or an adjective? What is it?
No, it's a verb. To be sincere.
To be sincere.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. To be sincere. It could be taken as a verb, but it also could be taken as an adjective, right?
Right. To describe a person. He's a sincere person. Right.
Right. So both.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's going to say that. It's going to say that in the dictionary which part of speech it is.
Right.
Right?
Right.
It's going to mention both. It's going to mention both, and it's going to give examples of both.
Mm.
Then it's going to give you the conjugations of sincere. So now, what is the noun conjugation of sincere?
The noun congregation of sincere. You really tested me, Pops. You know I dropped out of high school now. Come on now.
You know it. This is not rocket science.
But just the way that you answering the way that you asking the question is just, I'm like, hold on. What's the noun congregation of sincere?
So the noun,
Sincerely? Yeah.
The noun of sincere is sincerity.
Okay, I was about to say sincerely. That's what I thought. Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
Sincerely, most words in with ly are adverbs.
Okay.
Sincerely is the adverb. Sincerity is the noun.
Okay.
Sincere is a verb to be or an adjective, you see.
Mm.
And then it may, add some synonyms with that. So we see how, I'm just making an example, how when you study the dictionary correctly, as he was, how you become a master grammarian.
Mm.
You become a master orator.
Clearly not one of my strong suits. But go ahead.
Right. And you become, and really you become a real live intellectual when you study correctly as he was. Right? Because, Umar bin Khattab, who was a great companion of the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace and blessings of Allah, he said, study Arabic grammar. It will increase your intellect. And I will piggyback off that because we know God has made all languages. I would say if you study any type of grammar from any language, it will increase your intellect.
I would definitely agree. This is why you're smarter than me, Pop. This is why you're smarter.
And let me continue on. That the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that he said profoundly that if you want to know a people, then study their language. Because what's intrinsic in the language is the people's culture. Our people's culture is intrinsic in their language. It's laced and said that the fabric of a person's language is their culture.
That's right.
Or their culture is the fabric of their language.
Right.
It's the thread of it. You ever see somebody like I've seen guys that know Spanish. They're not Hispanic, they speak Spanish. I've seen it. And I'm telling you, the way they get along with Hispanic people is amazing. Because once they learn their tongue, they know them.
That's right.
It's amazing.
That's right.
Right? You know what I'm saying? So we see, and then now we talk about speech. Allah says in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان. Excuse my voice, I'm losing my voice, but علمه البيان. علمه البيان. Allah says that He is the most merciful, Ar-Rahman. And He's the one who taught the Quran. And He's the one that created mankind. And He is the one that taught mankind speech. The ability to speak, the ability to communicate, the ability to learn about grammar. Because within speech is, all these different sciences, which includes grammar. How to talk and write, how to read and write and talk, right? It's all inculcated within speech, right? But now my teacher's saying that this verb allama. So now let's deal with Arabic grammar now. Allama al-Quran. That allama is a verb, right? And it's a second form verb. I don't want to explain what it is, but it's a second form verb for those that know Arabic grammar. But it's derived from the root verb alima, to know. Alima, to know. But allama takes on a slightly different meaning, because not only did God teach man how to speak or about speech or how to communicate, allama means to imprint. He imprinted on man, male and female, the ability to speak. I'll say it again. He imprinted in man the ability to speak, even as babies. So not only did he teach man how to speak, allama is a more intensive, it's more
direct.
It's more direct, or it's more intense. So he didn't just teach man how to speak, he engraved in man the innate ability to speak. This is why a little girl who's 1.5 years old can listen to her mom and dad or her grandmother in the house and learn how to speak whole sentences. How was that? She can't. If you ask her what's 5 plus 5, she don't know.
She can't read.
But she know to say Papa, but she know to say Mommy or Papa. Can I have some ice cream, please? This is a miracle.
That's a fact.
It's a miracle. But why? Because God
Mm.
So just by ear, just by mouth to ear, just by her listening to what's going on in the household, that could be any language for that matter.
She can
If she
regurgitate.
lives in Venezuela, she knows how to speak Spanish.
Mm.
If she lives in Arabia, she speaks Arabic.
Mm-hmm.
She lives in America, English. Or even if she lives in America and the household speaks Swahili for that matter, she speaks Swahili.
Mm.
And that's all she heard.
Mm.
Right? I'm telling you, brother, the human being, Allah has made the human being. This is why the human being is God's best creation.
Mm. Mm.
God's best creation. So we understand. So we take this speech thing serious, brother.
Mm.
Because really, we pick up on it with ease just by listening. It's an amazing something we take for granted. It's an amazing phenomenon.
Mm.
Amazing. And it's an innate ability that God has blessed us with. And as I'm saying, we should praise and thank God. We say in Arabic, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. We give God, Allah, all the praises and thanks for giving us the ability to learn how to speak even as babies.
Mm. 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 It's a miracle in itself.
Yes. But this is why he studies speech.
Mm.
He studies speech because now we know that so now he's covering what he learned as far as the ability to communicate and about speech and about grammar and all these different sciences, right, that he learned. And then he covered that with his street knowledge, and this is how he's able to convert many people to the right path.
He was a bad boy. Like when you really think about it, like how intense and severe of the knowledge that he had. I mean, to have the street knowledge at the level that he had, and then to couple that with being a grammarian. That's a new word that I just learned today. That's gonna really make you a bad boy, because now you can pretty much say exactly. A lot of people, they can't explain the way that they feel. So they use other means of acts in order to explain the way they feel. Maybe it's through actions, maybe it's through art. That's the way to express themselves. But he can express himself exactly the way he wants to with being a grammarian. And that's really like a special key to what his job was to be, as far as bringing people to the righteous path. At the time in Nation Islam, that's what they thought was righteous. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's kind of crazy. You're right about that.
But check this out. Not only was it ultra effective towards people in the streets, look what he did in his debates. He debated, he embarrassed some of the best minds in the world.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Y'all can Google those too. Like anybody listening, just go on YouTube. I watched countless amount of roundtables with Malcolm X, who was Malcolm X at that time, and he's, for lack of a better word, he's destroying people. I mean, just destroying. Also, not only with his speech, but also with his patience. Everybody else talking over everybody else talking over everybody else. Everybody is all the other people are, getting angry sometime when they're conveying their message. No, Malcolm over there is sitting with his hand on his forehead, like, that pose, the famous pose picture. That was always his resting place, and he's just sitting there waiting calmly to speak. And once he speaks, he's not gonna cut you off. He's gonna say what you said and summarize it in 5 minutes. You said it in 30 minutes. He's gonna say it in 5 minutes. Just with his ways of using certain words that are able to describe one word that you're using for 10 words. It's just he's killing him. He killing him, Pop. I'm telling you, he killing him. You know what I'm saying?
Because they say not only did he study the dictionary and became a great grammarian, but he also studied psychology. You have 60 seconds
Psychology.
Psychology books, philosophy books, philosophy books, and many other stuff like classical logic and so forth and so on. Like, he was a genius.
He really was.
He was a genius. But the phone's about to hang up. We got to continue on the education of Malcolm in prison. The way he really made his prison time a true university. Right? And how, not only that, he not only did he has 30 seconds remaining. The great minds and debates, he went across the world and dazzled the kings and queens of the world with his speech.
Mm.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that too next time. I love you, and I'll try
Like,
to call you soon.
love you too, Pop. Wa alaikum assalam. You will. Or what you call a grammarian. A grammarian. Um,
Grammarian.
in prison. Yeah, as well as a linguist, right? In prison, and from Satan to Malcolm, if you will, is where we kind of left off at.
Right.
So yeah, if you want to just continue on that, we was last thing we said was the power in manipulating people, pimping versus the power in motivating people. You know, that's
Yes.
the new pimping, quote unquote, if you will, that he's doing now. So
Yes.
yeah, you know, that's where we kind of left off. That if you want to just keep on expanding, any other you know, thoughts
Yeah.
from the prison.
Yeah, I'm glad you said you're right on.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Well, you're right on point, and yeah, he was a linguist and a grammarian,
Mm.
and a philosopher,
Mm.
and a logician,
Mm.
and a great debater. In my book, the greatest debater of his time,
I agree.
or at least one of them, especially of our country and of our people
Right.
and of our era.
You have 30 seconds remaining.
You know, but I'm gonna try to call you back.
Okay. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Charge for this call. Let's call it.
Jamal.
An inmate at Northern State Prison. This call will be monitored and recorded. For customer assistance, collection, or complete procedures, or to block future calls, dial 1-866-230-7761. To accept this call, press 5 now. To decline this call, hang up. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam. Wa alaikum assalam.
Okay. Can we continue?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the amazing part is the way he used the prison as a university.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you look at, me being a prisoner,
Mm.
so I can relate to a lot of things that he went through because I have 25 years in the penitentiary.
That's right.
Well, prison. A penitentiary is like for the federal, for the feds. A prison is for the state.
Mm.
So in the prison system, and I can relate with a lot of things. I know it's not hard. It's not easy to study under these circumstances.
Mm.
A lot of times,
Mm.
because you have to you have to defeat all the outside bad news coming from the outside, defeat all the stuff going on inside the prison, whether it's beef, danger, irate police or irate prisoners.
Mm.
You have to get around a lot of different obstacles and trials and tribulations to focus on studying. But as we see, it can happen for me.
Mm-hmm.
For those that want it, they can get it. It don't matter where you at. If you want knowledge, then Allah will give it to you. If He so pleases, no matter where you at.
That's right.
Right. So I'm saying, not only that, we see that now. Let's put ourselves in at that time, Malcolm's. Let's picture ourselves in his shoes. I can picture myself because I'm in his shoes right now as we speak. So I know what it feels like, where there's like an unsaid, not everybody, but most people, there's an unsaid humiliation going on, with the staff here and the inmates.
Mm.
Right? As it should. What I mean is there's a caste system. That's what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Right? As it should. Because it says in the that, slavery has been abolished, but the only thing I'm saying, but if you've been convicted of a crime, you should have slaved basically to the system. It doesn't say that verbatim, but that's the meaning of it, right?
Correct. Yep.
So basically, a prisoner is a slave to the system.
That's correct.
Really, prison, mass incarceration is another face of slavery. That's all it is.
Mass plantations.
Plantation, right?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So now, and you have the exceptions to the rule. You have officers that treat people as human beings, but they are the minority.
That's right.
For the most part. So now you have, we can imagine, nobody expects a prisoner to be elevated how he was elevated.
Mm. Mm.
Most cops don't care about my name, my character, who I really am. No, I have some, trust me, second, to be impartial, I have some exceptions.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then even now, I would say many exceptions in my situation where police show me respect because I move in respect.
Your tenure, your tenure
said,
and your reputation speaks for itself. So they,
yeah,
but they might be more inclined to give you that sort of treatment and not do it for the next man. It's possible, just due to
exactly,
your tenure and your
exactly.
experience. That's absolutely right.
Yeah, but nevertheless, nobody thinks that a prisoner, or they never thought that Malcolm, because, for example, you got the warden there of his prison. The warden thinks that they're the king of the kings, the boss of all bosses, which they are in that small little dungeon. Everybody can be chiefs. There's too many chiefs, no Indians. So in the warden's mind of the prison, when he was in prison, I'm sure that warden thought, he just said, hey, I'm the boss of all bosses in this jurisdiction, in this prison. But in actuality, what is a prison? It's a dungeon. Compared to the world, right?
Right.
Compared to the globe. What is a prison? It's nothing. There are many prisons, right? It's a hellhole on earth. That's what it is. It's a hellhole on earth, right?
That's right.
And slavery is today's slavery, like, so, like, what is that? So, but anywho, they take pride in that. You'd be surprised, people, you know what I'm saying? And, I kind of understand it. You get a nice little paycheck for yourself, make a living, take care of your family. So I understand it to a degree, but your arrogance shouldn't be there. And I say again, that's not every warden, but, for the most part, it is.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So, we can imagine.
Let me chime in real quick. They don't depict wardens, as righteous or forthright in movies for a reason. Usually in every single movie, Shawshank Redemption, you can go down the line of every single movie. The warden is always the a-hole. He's always the demonstrative, boss that nobody wants to work for. So, and that's probably 99% of wardens. 99 pop. So I know you got your exceptions there, but really you being a little bit too nice, and I know that you got to be because you on the phone. So I understand that. But
I'm not doing it because I have to be honest. I like to be impartial because I like to be objective instead of subjective. Because I'm in prison, I don't want to be angry, man, and everybody's fault, and I'm the victim here. No.
I feel you.
You know what I'm saying? I try to judge people individually. I try to be fair. I try to put myself in their shoes, try to come outside of my situation to judge people individually. But what you're saying, okay, is, closer to the truth. Now, but I will say this, people, if we could imagine how condescending, I know, this whole situation is humiliating, it's condescending, it's emasculating, it's terrible. Right? Just the point, I gotta ask when to take a shower, the point, I gotta ask to get some hot water, or I gotta ask when to go to the yard, ask to go to work, or ask to use the phone. That is humiliating. So they could never imagine this man Malcolm, a man who is humiliated to the T, like he's at the bottom, how Allah elevated him to be really a king. How Allah elevated him to really be his representative, his vicegerent, right? On earth. And how Allah elevated him to be the black Moses of all people of oppression. Of all people of oppression. This is amazing. It's a miracle.
It really is.
Nothing short of a miracle.
It really is.
Because now we have to understand. So, but that's, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. But now, because we go back to his training, he wasn't just studying the dictionary. And I say again, the dictionary deals with grammar, linguistics, and so forth and so forth. It's not just looking up definitions. We spoke about that before.
That's right.
But he also studied philosophy. He also studied psychology. He also studied sociology. He was heavy, bro. He's a heavyweight. He also studied spirituality. Even though, he was on the wrong path as far as belief system. But one thing that he acquired, even though, because we know at the time he was introduced to the nation of Islam, that is fake Islam, that is pseudo-Islam, that is not real Islam.
That's right.
That's a fact.
We got to highlight that.
But nevertheless, so we
Definitely.
Right? We're going to dwell on that, the comparison between the Nation of Islam and real Islam.
Facts.
We're going to do on that next phone call.
Okay.
Inshallah.
Okay.
But I will say this.
Inshallah.
Even during this misguided time, or this time he was misinformed, he acquired something that many good Muslims and many real Muslims don't still have today.
That's a fact.
Amazingly, he acquired sincerity. Ikhlas. Ikhlas. Sidq. Truthfulness. He acquired sincerity. He was, this sincerity that only Allah knows the measure of. Allah gave it to him as a gift. Gave it to him as a gift. You know what I'm saying? And say, so we'll talk about that. To the point where, when he passed away, all he had was some pocket money. Some say like he had like $60-something to his name. See? Right? Because he wasn't a worldly man. He wasn't in it to get the perks of leadership. He didn't have no big mansion and the big cars and the nice clothes as some of his colleagues did. Yeah. Many of his colleagues in leadership was living like millionaires. Well, they weren't millionaires. They were living like kings. They was of this world.
That's right.
They told him the followers to not be of this world. So he really followed the teachings, right?
That's right.
He made 1 meal a day. He never committed adultery, right? He only, so he's only getting like $1,000 a month to go preach, to build temples and try to convert people from their wrongs. But it's $1,000 a month, right? You're barely making it.
Especially when you got to travel for, he traveling all across the East Coast, going here to here, and then you got all them kids. He got more than one kid to take care of. So,
right, exactly.
That 1,000 is turned into $1 and by tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? He really got no money.
Exactly. He had no money, but it wasn't about money.
That's right.
He had the real money. Ikhlas, sincerity. Right? Because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the real wealth. He said the real wealth is the one with the wealthy heart. That's what he had. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, you said the real wealth is the one with the healthy heart, with the wealthy heart. I got you.
Yes, no, because it's fading off. But the one with the wealthy heart. The real one. Now, check with the law. But look what happened. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself because now I went outside the prison. Let's go back to the prison. So my point was, so now he's getting this Nation of Islam, but also with the sincerity, he's learning discipline. He's learning how to discipline his soul. They taught him that because even though Elijah Muhammad was teaching a fake Islam, he was still extracting from true Islam the discipline.
That's right.
The disciplines.
That's right.
Like, for example, the dieting, how to eat to live. That's from Islam. That's from Islam. As I'm saying, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the believer eats from, he eats with one stomach. And many non-Muslims eat with 7 stomachs, right? or the believer. I'm saying the most we should eat is 1/3 food, the other third water, and the other third air. We should never eat to our full, because we know most diseases start with the stomach. We know most diseases start with the stomach. Overeating, gluttony, right? Gluttony comes from what? Hawa, lust, desires. Right? And all these things are diseases of the heart, diseases of the soul. So now he was teaching him, because he was teaching him how to diagnose the disease of the soul and how to reform the soul. This is from Islam. Right? So one of the best ways to discipline the soul is by fasting and eating very little food, eating just enough. Overeating becomes too much energy, and then from too much energy becomes too many sins. Also, too much overeating causes lethargy, laziness, slothfulness, physical and spiritual, and mental. Right? Makes you sleepy. We got the itis. We want to fall asleep. We eat the food, we want to sleep.
That's right.
Right? So eat just enough to keep the mind sharp and the soul strong, so you can continue to worship and continue to train the soul and continue to study and continue to have the mind grasp heavy
Mm.
And so he was doing, he was becoming enlightened. So he was disciplining his soul, disciplining his mind, disciplining his heart. That's what he was doing. He was training. Tarbiyah. You know, heart, mind, and soul. So when he came home, he could be the. See, before he changed the people, reformed the people, he reformed himself.
That's right.
He changed himself. He stopped getting high. He stopped drinking. He stopped masturbating. He stopped lusting. He stopped backbiting. He stopped wasting time.
Mm-hmm.
He stopped squandering money. Like he removed the love of the.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
He removed the love of the world from his heart completely.
That's right.
So next up, we will continue to talk about his tarbiyah, his training, his spiritual training, and his reformation. Because really, he reformed. So he had a complete metamorphosis from a caterpillar to a beautiful butterfly.
That's right.
I'm gonna say it again. From a caterpillar to the most beautiful butterfly. We'll talk about that. His metamorphosis, his reformation.
You have 30 seconds remaining.
From a evil man to an angelic human being. Angelic human being. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about the nation compared to true Islam also. I love you. Assalamu alaikum, and I'll try to call you soon.
Wa alaikum assalam. Love you too, Pop.
I love you so much.